welcome to the news at 10 live 24. I'm Comfort and Modu. The headlines. Comptroller General of Customs meets President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, announces plans to reopen all Nigerian borders.
When the borders are reopened, it's not going to be a of rumor in any way.
President Bola Tinubu writes Senate confirmation of appointments of Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs. House of Representatives requests Central Bank of Nigeria to halt implementation of social media policy. Southeast leaders resolve to tackle issues of insecurity in the region.
To divorce politics from the matter and ensure that the issue of security, which is the primary purpose of government,
completion of administrative work. Acting Comptroller General of the Service prepared this while taking State House of Commons after an audience with President Bola.
Media reports on issues of border closure across the country. The federal government is re-strategizing to ensure all Nigerian borders are reopened.
There are ongoing processes to review this situation against the objective of the border closure itself. And the processes are not yet completed. And of course, when the borders are reopened, it's not going to be subject of rumor in any way. I can also tell you that part of my discussions with Mr. President is to actively engage customs administrations across our borders, particularly the strategic ones that we must work and collaborate with for us to achieve common objectives of border security and regional integration.
On the issue of smuggling of petroleum products across Nigerian borders, the customs boss says measures have been put in place to address the crime.
It might take some time before the issue of smuggling of fuel across the border will completely dissipate. So in some border areas, we had reports of seizures of fuel, and that is what we had. So it was the assumption generally that because of the fuel is now sold at 500 naira per liter, it will be a disincentive for smuggling. But contrary to that, we have seen that they are still smuggling it across the borders. The rates at which this is being smuggled has reduced considerably. And it is our hope that by the time we mix some of these other policies that government is working on, it will completely eliminate the problems of smuggling of fuel across our borders.
Technological solutions are also expected to be deployed in ensuring the safety and security of all land borders across the country. From the State House, Abrahman Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu communicates with the Senate seeking the confirmation of the appointments of the Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, read the letter at the commencement of the plenary this Tuesday.
The President of the Senate said the presidential communication is in line with the provisions of the Armed Forces Act.
I am pleased to present for confirmation by the Senate the 4 nominees listed below as Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Senate is invited to note the current security situation of our country, which requires concerted efforts of both the legislature and the executive to ensure a well-protected nation.
This letter is the first from President Tinubu to the 10th Senate, inaugurated in June 2023. The President of the Senate also brought to the notice of members the composition of some special committees, including the Committee on Appropriation, as the Senate anytime from now is likely to receive supplementary budget from the Executive for approval. Senate adopted 2 motions urging authorities to address the deplorable state of some roads in the southeast and northwest.
Despite a spending in excess of 15 billion since inception on these critical roads, the Omahi-Mudike-Kote-Beni road had only attained 6% completion as of April 2023, while the Aba-Ekote-Beni and Aba-Port Harcourt road continued deplorable states have led to economic stagnation of former boisterous commercial city of Aba.
The Abuja-Kaduna Federal Highway connects Nigeria from the north to the south, and it's an extremely important business road for supply of goods and services from the south to the north and vice versa.
Thank God that those who are saddled with the responsibility to provide security on that road are now doing a wonderful job.
Senate adopted the motion to investigate subsidy regime and under-recovery in the petroleum industry.
Uninvestigated and alarming cost of under-recovery / direct deductions of an NPCL without necessary checks has led to great misunderstanding of government's good intentions on subsidy removal.
Mr. President, sir, more worrisome is the fact that a significant percentage of the fund being used for this subsidy is borrowed. All along was borrowed. We don't borrow money, we don't borrow fund to subsidize.
We are subsidizing neighboring countries to the detriment of Nigerian citizens, our constituents.
I don't know how that vocabulary of turnaround maintenance started, because that is where our problem started.
Because if you look at the quantum of money involved in this, I believe we need a very detailed investigation as to what has transpired during the subsidy regime.
The Senate has, in the course of the debate, commended Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for the decision to even remove this subsidy.
The investigation will be conducted when standing committees are fully constituted. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And in other news, President Bola Tinubu has expressed sadness and grief over the latest round of violence and killings in Plateau State. The president condemned in strong terms the most recent killings in Mangu local government area of Plateau and parts of Benue State. President Tinubu expressed dismay over the festering reprisal attacks, needless and avoidable bloodletting among communities in the two states. To rebuild trust and restore harmony to the conflict areas, President Tinubu urged community leaders, religious leaders, traditional rulers, social cultural organizations, as well as the leadership of Arewa Consultative Forum, Jama'atu Nasir Islam, and Christian Association of Nigeria to work together to help foster genuine and long-lasting peace, while reaffirming his government's strong determination to stamp out violent crimes and all forms of criminalities everywhere in Nigeria. And the president has directed security agencies to fish out the masterminds of the dastardly acts to face the full wrath of the law. He, however, charged the governments of Plateau and that of Benue State, as well as emergency response agencies, to provide support and immediate relief to the victims who have been displaced as a result of the conflict. Our federal government has set up a proactive measure in areas predicted to be affected by flood this rainy season. Chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, who is also the Gombe State Governor, Mohammed Inuwa Yahaya, stated this after an audience with Vice President Kashim Shettima. Governor Inuwa Yahaya said government is aware of the flash highlighted by agencies responsible and has engaged all key players to share ideas on how to tackle the expected disaster.
We are strategizing. We wouldn't like a repeat of what happened last year to do the same this year. But in whatever we do, we have to be both proactive and reactive. We've not reacted in a way that we solved all the problems of last year, and this year has started. So we need to double, we do some little backtracking and move in double locks to catch up with the current trends and do the needful.
State House correspondent Abdul Rahman Usman Jibrila reports that the governor also spoke on the issue of security, especially in the northern part of the country. Vice President Kashim Shettima says Nigeria requires the cooperation of all citizens, irrespective of religious and ethnic differences, to support the Tinubu administration in transforming the country. State House correspondent Abdul Rahman Usman Jibrila reports that the Vice President stated this when he received the leadership of the 10th House of Representatives led by the Speaker Tajuddin Abbas at the presidential villa.
The Tinubu administration requires the support of all. These are the words of the Vice President Kashim Shettima while receiving leadership of the House. President Tinubu is determined to redefine the meaning and concept of modern leadership as exemplified from the first day with swift moves to address economic growth and development. On President Tinubu's support for the legislature, the Vice President noted that the executive is ever willing to ensure harmonious working relationship among all arms of the government for the good of the nation. Extolling the leadership qualities of the new principal officers of the House of Representatives, the Vice President implored them to rally round the Speaker in the face of governance and form a common front in addressing the core challenges confronting the country.
In this particular project, we call it Unity Project. We do not look at ourselves as APC, PDP, LP. We look at ourselves as parliamentarians representing the Nigerian project. So we feel that at this point that we have elected our leadership, for both the majority and the minority, we should all come together and pay homage to our VP, to see them, get to know them, so that we can prepare for the challenges ahead.
Speaker Tajuddin Abbas restated the members' support to government programs and policies, noting that they are ready to collaborate to work for the progress of the nation. From the State House, Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
And the House of Representatives has asked the Central Bank of Nigeria to halt the implementation of its policy directing banks to obtain the social media handles of customers as part of enhanced customer due diligence (CDD) regulations. This followed a joint motion moved by Minority Leader of the House Representative Kingsley Chinda. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ipen reports.
House commenced with a 2-hour closed-door session, followed by an announcement by the Speaker on the screening of service chiefs.
And I have the pleasure of informing you that Honorable Jimmy Benson will chair the ad hoc committee, and all principal officers, both from the majority and minority, will be members of that committee.
There were reservations about the CBN Know Your Customer policy.
Nigerians who are not on social media with large turnovers from their businesses and trades would be compared to or systematically excluded from formal banking system with its attendant negative effect.
The need to halt the Central Bank of Nigeria's directive.
The Green Chamber equally moves against planned increase of tuition fees by some federal universities.
An increased rate of university dropout may further worsen insecurity in Nigeria.
To urge the Federal Minister of Education to review the new school fees regime in federal government colleges and revert to the old regime.
There were also motions condemning fresh attacks on the plateau.
Most of my people live in fear of the unknown.
Urge the Inspector General of Police to immediately provide mobile police force squadron formation in the affected communities to safeguard the lives of our people.
If the Office of the National Security Advisor comes into this, there will be a difference.
And other resolutions to bridge infrastructure gaps.
The need to rehabilitate the Benin Ekpoma Auchi road to Okede, Ogi State.
To ensure the contractor is mobilized to site and commences reconstruction of the Eleme-One axis of the East-West Road. To urge the Federal Ministry of Water Resources to resume the immediate rehabilitation of the Obudu Dam project and provide funds to relevant financial authorities.
22 bills passed first reading at Tuesday's plenary, including the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2023 from the National Assembly. Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
The news at 10 is broadcast live on NTA News 24. More reports ahead. Stay tuned.
NTA News 24 has the sole mandate of bringing news to you anywhere and everywhere.
We set standards based on current broadcast realities while consolidating on a wider reach to variety of audiences.
We go beyond the screaming headlines to verify, interrogate, and accommodate all shades of opinion without prejudice to national interest.
Our well-researched, packaged, and live programs keep you abreast of events, personalities, and current affairs.
Welcome back. The People's Democratic Party's Governors Forum has promised to cooperate with the federal government on issues concerning welfare of Nigerians and good governance while striving to maintain the independence and autonomy of the forum through offering constructive criticism when necessary. This formed part of the reconstituted forum's inaugural meeting in Abuja. Details with Timothy Yusuf.
12 out of the 13 governors elected on the platform of the PDP attended the inaugural forum's meeting under the leadership of Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State. Deputy Chairman of the forum and Rivers State Governor Sim Fubara was absent at the meeting. At the end of the meeting held behind closed doors, the meeting resolved to work together and unite the forum, which aims to provide a platform for peer review issues, policies, programs, and achievements of members across the PDP states.
The meeting advised the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the security agencies, the federal government to be neutral in the conduct of the off-season elections in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo states.
On security situation in the country, especially what the forum described as wanton destruction of lives and property in Plateau and Zamfara states, the meeting advised the federal government and security agencies to rise to the occasion. On disagreements within the PDP, the forum believes that reconciliation is a work in progress and hopes to reconcile all aggrieved members soon. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, has urged political party leaders at all levels to partner with the federal government to ensure dividends of democracy are delivered to Nigerians, especially those in the grassroots. The SGF was speaking when he played host to APC State Chairman, who paid him a courtesy call in Abuja. Kenneth Nanim reports that while appreciating the visit, the SGF acknowledged their role as individuals and groups towards the success of President Tinubu and the APC during the 2023 general elections. He further explained that the federal government is doing everything possible to address insecurity and other forms of criminality in parts of the country, while expressing sadness over the kidnap of their Ekiti State's counterpart.
And reunited with his family. Some of these criminal activities are going down now. And this will be brought to the barest minimum in due course. Nigerians had confidence in the candidates and they have never been disappointed since the inauguration of this administration.
Earlier, the APC chairman appreciated the SGF for providing an exemplary leadership and reaffirmed the confidence reposed in him to deliver good governance. They also urged him to ensure equitable distribution of political appointments when the time comes. Meanwhile, National Coordinator of the All Progressives Congress election, Marshal Ibn Abo Dokubo says there is hope in sight for a more prosperous and united Nigeria under the current administration. Addressing journalists in Abuja, the APC chieftain appealed to the citizens, especially the political class, to engage in constructive criticism that will promote development across all critical sectors for national growth and stability.
I also use this medium to call on all youths and women all over the country to join hands to support His Excellency President Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu as he takes tough decisions to make Nigeria great. We should shun all kinds of violence. We should not inherit political enemies as young people. We were first Nigerians before we became region or party members. So tribalism and religion should not divide us as a nation.
Coordinator of the APC election marshals also solicited for a reward system that will positively affect youths and women in terms of appointment, empowerment, and job opportunities. Now, Borno State government has assured to partner with Malala Foundation to promote girl-child education in the state. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum gave the assurance when he received the globally renowned girl-child education activist and Nobel Peace Prize laureate Malala, accompanied by the United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed on a courtesy visit at the Government House, Maiduguri. Details with Mohammed Goni.
Malala Yousafzai was the girl shot in a bus by some suspected extremists while returning from school in 2012 in Pakistan, which shook the global community. And since then, Malala turned girl-child education activists traversing the globe to promote girl-child education. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum, who highlighted contributions of the activists to the education sector in Borno State through her foundation, thanked her for supporting the cause of girl-child education. He also paid tribute to Mr. Yousafzai, who not only stood firm to ensure that his daughter went to school against all odds, but giving her all the needed support to realize her potentials.
On behalf of the government and people of Borno State, we remain eternally indebted to the Deputy UN Secretary General for her continued support in our educational sector. I also want to convey my deep appreciation to Malala Yousaf and indeed your amiable father.
We're here, Your Excellency, because this is a place that Malala started her efforts in Nigeria to call for girls' education, the safety of their education, the right to their education, the progress in their future so that they also join the people of their state, their communities and Nigeria to be part of that economy and growing this nation.
The girl child activist noted that her visit was to celebrate 10th year anniversary of her speech at the United Nations and her 26th birthday, adding that every year she uses the opportunity to draw attention of the world to hundreds of girls with no access to education.
It is a collective work of people, of the government, of the civil society, of education activists, parents and girls that can make change happen.
Malala also noted huge progress made in the education sector in Nigeria that call for celebration, which can also be built upon. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
The Southeast governors, lawmakers and leaders of the Igbo Social Cultural Organization, Ohaneze Ndigbo, have resolved to meet President Bola Tinubu over the rising insecurity in the region. The decision was taken at an emergency meeting held in Abuja. Saliu Abdullahi Wanara reports.
The meeting, which was held behind closed doors, lasted about 6 hours. It was to deliberate on the current security situation in the region. Leaders across political parties are concerned about the rising insecurity due to the activities of unknown gunmen and agitators of indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB.
A lot of success has been achieved. Otherwise, the plan that was made was very enormous, it's big. But because of the effort by the governors, because of the effort by the leaders, I think the whole thing will succeed.
Security is in the exclusive list, and only federal government can deploy as appropriate. So there are some of the details, when we meet with the president, we will discuss. We also understand the political connotations arising from public perception that have characterized the case. But we will divorce politics from the matter and ensure that the issue of security, which is the primary purpose of government, is provided to the people of Southeast.
The meeting also agreed that Southeast alone cannot solve the current security challenges in the zone and pledged to promote dialogue among all concerned. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
The Federal High Court, Abuja, has adjourned to a later date a case filed by the detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Olabode Arewa reports that the defendant is seeking enforcement of his fundamental human rights under the law.
Prior to this time, Nnamdi Kanu had been on trial before Justice Binta Murtala Nyako of the Federal High Court, Abuja, for his alleged involvement in terrorism. During the course of his criminal trial, his defense team applied to another high court, seeking a declaration that the manner of the rendition of the plaintiff from Kenya, where he had been staying, was allegedly unjust and inhuman. The defense team thereafter approached the Court of Appeal Abuja, which held that the High Court did not have the jurisdiction to try Nnamdi Kanu, thereby dismissing the counts and discharging the appellants. The former Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, SAN, issued a legal advice that Kanu was only discharged and not acquitted of the substantive charges against him. Kanu also filed a rights enforcement suit before another court, seeking monetary reliefs and compensation for his detention. At the resumed date for the hearing of the matter before the Federal High Court Abuja, the matter could not be heard due to the workload before the courts. Meanwhile, July 20 has been fixed for ruling by Justice Binta Nyako on Kanu's application seeking an order of mandamus for the Department of State Services to allow him access his medical team. In another development, one Ilya Yabo has been arraigned before the Federal High Court for impersonating as a customs officer and for allegedly duping 7 Nigerians of 8.9 million naira by falsely claiming to have cars for sale. The defendant pleaded not guilty to the offenses. The court has adjourned the matter to July 21 for the commencement of trial and for hearing on his bail application. Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Expert speaks on impact of communal clashes. Details of these and more when we return. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Following the recent spate of sporadic and repeated communal attacks especially in communities across Plateau State, security experts have called for a stronger presence and resolve by the traditional institutions and conflict resolution mechanisms at grassroots level, as these, they say, will in more ways than one control mere misunderstanding between the people from deteriorating into full-blown anarchy. Guest, while speaking on Nigeria Today, noted that for these needless and incessant attacks to be pegged and stopped, the youths who they say are the instruments involved in most of the acts of violence must be engaged actively and productively via job creation.
Most often, once and elements of insecurity are created, those who bear the brunt do not even know what had happened. But you, as a grassroots leader, you should be able to have a greater understanding of what happens within your communities, within your hamlets, within your clans. You should be able to know who and what who are the troublemakers, and be able to. And do not forget, there are even local conflict resolution mechanisms. How far have you been able to exhaust those? For an instance, you see a university graduate who, instead of looking for greener pasture somewhere, goes back to his clan. because there is a lot of abundance of food to eat. So most of them do not use their energy for the betterment of the society. So they more or less cause troubles within the community. And it's also based on the understanding they passed on to them over the years. So this understanding is that, like I said earlier on, the squabbles, tribal squabbles, which can be resolved if we can think rationally.
Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. Now to Akwa Ibom State, where they've been experiencing boundary skirmishes lately, and to stem its spread, Deputy Governor Senator Akon Eyekeyi is advising leaders of communities involved in communal crises to encourage their people to sheath their swords and embrace development. The Deputy Governor was speaking during an interaction with leaders of affected communities in Government House, Uyo. Kelvin Samuel reports.
In this hall are local government council chairmen, paramount rulers, village heads and youth leaders from the various communities that are experiencing boundary crises across the state in an interactive meeting with the deputy governor, who is also the chairman state boundary committee, with the aim of identifying root causes of crisis with the hope of addressing them for the restoration of peace in the affected communities.
We are ready to work with you, ready to work with the office to ensure that whatever issues are there, we can always sit at the round table and sort them out.
And there's a need for us to step in on time to settle issues without delay. And of course, when there is no peace, there can never be any meaningful development.
The story in it is so pathetic, like I said before. You need, like we said, somebody has mentioned a historical document.
We need to open a very big road in between the both community. And we have accepted that the road should be as a reservoir that will save the test of time, and also economic trees planted around both Amamo and the Kowori community. But there is no money to do that.
Having listened to the people, the Deputy Governor, Senator Akon Eyekeyi, sued for peace among them, saying that God created the state as one, and as such, people should avoid things that are capable of causing disunity in the state.
In most cases, lives and properties will be lost when those crises will come up. And I felt there's nothing on earth that we came with that we will go with. Not land, that we will go to the extent of taking lives, destroying property. So
the meeting ended on the note that all hands must be on deck for the sustenance of the existing peace and the state. From the Government House, to you, Kelvin Samuel, NTA News.
Let's now take a look at some financial stories. And to survive as a country, Nigerians need to imbibe the non-oil export culture. Vivian Eze Adife brings us details of these and more on Business News.
Investment promotion experts have hinged countries' survival on the level of commitment to non-oil export products. They noted that promotion of the sector will stop the increasing migration of people outside the country and will eventually expand the employment net by providing for the teeming youth.
And putting in place the requisite supportive trade policies are a necessary condition for tapping the opportunities in regional and international markets.
Tenors for many, many years. Then the oil boom, and progressively we all lost touch with those key fundamental things that have sustained us. We are blessed as a nation, extremely blessed as a nation.
We want to make sure that as much as possible, our youths no longer leave the shore of this country. If they have what to do here, they will not leave.
Meanwhile, stakeholders in Nigeria's oil and gas sector have been advised to optimize local content opportunities to ensure fulfilling energy needs and energy security as the country progresses in its energy transition journey. This is coming amidst pressure on the sector to move away from traditional fossil fuels to renewable energy sources and build capacity locally to fully integrate clean energy education to drive faster adoption. However, not at the expense of the country's industrialization. With business, Vivian Izadif.
And the oil and gas industry will continue to seek the right balance between meeting the world's rising energy needs and addressing climate change. This highlights some of the OPEC Secretary General's message to the ongoing Nigerian Oil and Gas Energy Week. Lydia Sampson reports that it resonates with experts who insist that Nigeria must come up with solutions that will translate to moving Nigeria and African continent from energy poverty to energy sufficiency.
Key players agree the oil and gas industry has a long history of being at the cutting edge of innovation and technology, and OPEC Secretary General says the possibility of bringing the same expertise to support developing cleaner and more efficient technological solutions to help unlock an emission-free future is now.
As we look ahead, OPEC will continue to rely on Nigeria's crucial support and cooperation as His Excellency President Tinubu takes the country forward to help meet the needs of Nigerians now and in the future.
The key players reiterate the need for candid conversation to identify realities and numbers on where Nigeria is standing on specifics and on energy mix as pathway towards sustainable energy security for growth.
For us to achieve a sustainable energy transition, funding is key, technology is key, acquisitions and transfers, cooperation is key, and so Africa needs to define its own terms, and that means even Nigeria as a country needs to come to the table on its own terms.
Our people are undersupplied. Affordability is not even a key issue, because if you increase supply, naturally affordability becomes a secondary issue. And of course they need sustainable energy, and we hear all the talk around green energy. Absolutely, we are committed to it.
The experts are emphatic that eradicating energy poverty and its implications must be prioritized. These, they opine, can be done leveraging natural gas, which is the largest growing fossil fuel globally. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
And towards growing the economy, the federal government is assuring electric vehicle producers in the country of its support through policies and technical intervention towards achieving zero-emission transportation for enhanced marketability in Nigeria and beyond. The Director General National Automotive Design and Development Council, NADDC, Jelani Aliyu, gave the assurance at the presentation of a new jet mover electric vehicle in Abuja. Tokwe Alabi was there.
Nigeria is one of the 195 signatories to the 2015 Paris Accord, meant to develop the green automobile industry as a way of curbing global warming and its effects on the environment. The National Automobile Design and Development Council, NADDC, is spearheading the creation of an effective, environmentally conscious ecosystem for the nation's automobile sector with this presentation of Jet Mover 100% electric vehicle bus produced by Jet Motors.
This is very vital, especially now where solutions are required. Very cost-effective, sustainable solutions are required for to ease the challenges because of the higher cost of petrol and diesel.
For the producer, the journey of providing electric vehicles as alternatives to fuel-powered automobiles is just beginning, as partnership is underway with some states of the Federation to join in the quest to reduce large-scale emissions of carbon as well as other harmful gases.
Then we have converted what will it cost you to buy energy. So the saving you make by buying energy instead of buying fuel, you are going to the savings enough to recoup your
initial outlay over a period of 2 years and 4 months.
With EV charger station in Abuja, which powers the electric van, making it even more cost-effective, the producer says it is a worthwhile investment.
The EV has what I call motor, not the engine, the type of engine we have in the ICE that have hundreds of spare parts. This one don't have that. So you don't need to bother about plug, you don't need to bother about fuel filter, you don't need to bother about different kind of things. You don't do servicing.
We have electric vehicles like the Jet Mover here, which is real, it's EV. We also, as you can see behind us, we have a fast charger, also from Jet Motors. So we will continue to grow that network. We already have banks and other stakeholders that have come into the space and are deploying electric vehicle charging stations.
This development from the automobile sector of the country will certainly spur a lot of Nigerians to want to take alternatives to vehicles using fuel to the ones using electric supply. In Abuja, Tokpe Alabi, NTA News.
Nigeria has received its first organic certification for share collection in the wild from the European Union and the United States. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council and its partners unveiled the certification to the public with a pledge to empower more women in the share value chain.
We are happy because what we are seeing here is going to quadruple the export of share border from Nigeria. Is going to increase the volume and the value of Nigerian non-oil exports.
The impediment that we will have being able to enter into the niche market, like Mrs. Obidike has said, is the certificate that proves that this thing is actually organic and it has complied with all the standards.
Which means that even when we export, it will not be rejected, which is another issue. We have to begin to create infrastructure around it. We have to begin to develop the value chain, and there's so much more that can be done.
Unleashing the power of gender equality, uplifting the voices of women and girls to unlock our world's infinite possibilities is the theme as the world commemorates this year's Population Day. Ulishe Adiagbo is in this special report telling us the significance of the World Population Day and the relevance of this year's theme in the Nigerian context.
World population reached the unprecedented 8 billion in November last year, and the figure keeps increasing thanks to improvements in healthcare services that have extended lifespans and reduced maternal and child mortality.
You know, nobody can decide that half of the population has no right to exist. We are here and we have to learn to live with that, but we have to do it in a way that empowers people to exercise their rights.
Population is about human beings, and that is the reason why this day is set aside for people to see what are the dividend or what are the importance of these human beings themselves.
The progress is not universal, and the latest State of the World Population Swap report presents worrisome data of women and girls not having their rights protected, with indiscriminatory access to making choices in a world of 8 billion people. In the global stage, the World Population Day celebration resonates a resilient world of 8 billion that upholds individuals' rights and choices. And in Nigeria, actors are calling for a refined approach in the management of the more than 200 million people, especially the rights of women and girls.
This event provides a veritable platform to ensure that every woman and girl in Nigeria is placed at the center of development policies and programs.
When women and girls are put on the pedestal, we are unlocking thousands of opportunities and possibilities to enable us build a better and prosperous Nigeria.
We have prioritized to ensure that universal healthcare coverage becomes the bedrock of our service delivery in Nigeria, using the primary healthcare as a platform.
The unanimous call is on making the world a place where the 8 billion people have a future bustling with promise and potential. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
And meanwhile, the organized labor are calling on women to push beyond limitations over inequality, oppression, and galvanize resources to support women empowerment. This dominated discussions at the Public Service International Africa and Arab Countries Regional Women's Conference in Abuja. Joseph Otain reports.
Discrimination and violence against women are a global phenomenon, but the situation in Africa and the Arab countries are said to have common features due to their social structures. The impact has continued to affect development of women to add value to society.
The growth around the globe of religious fanaticism is contributing to attack women's rights and reduce their possibility to access dignity in their private life as well as in their labor life.
This assembly of women under the Public Service International is to sustain conversations on how to break the barriers working against women in Africa and the Arab nations to be more supportive with initiatives that would place women at better positions to stand their grounds.
To empower and reposition women to be advocates and not complainants of social re-engineering.
If the government consider and make social care one of their public service provisions, then we will see women taking up more training opportunities and capacity building critical.
With a theme, women workers, together breaking barriers towards gender equality, the conference hopes to come up with ideas that would curb gender-based harassment at workplaces, on equal pay for work of equal value, occupational training, and poor representation at workplace. In Abuja, Joseph Utsen, NTA News.
And the Nigerian Army 13 Brigade is looking to upscale its training via healthy competitions in tandem with the philosophy of the Chief of Army Staff to transform the Nigerian Army into a well-trained, equipped and highly motivated force. The Commander 13 Brigade, Brigadier General Everest Okoro, stated this at the commencement of the 82 Division Inter-Brigade Warrant Officers and Senior Non-Commissioned Officers Competition 2023 in Calabar. Correspondent Achibong Basi was there and reports.
150 personnel from 5 formations within 82 Division are participating in 7 events of map reading, skill at arms, obstacle crossing, combat swimming, and half cross-country, among other competitive events. Commander 13 Brigade, Brigadier General Everest Okoro says the primary aim of the competition is to improve junior leadership traits, organizational ability, and initiative of warrant officers and senior non-commissioned officers.
The participating formations are 14 Brigade, 34 Artillery Brigade, 44 Engineer Brigade, 82 Division Garrison, and of course 13 Brigade, which is the host formation.
Special guest of honor, Commodore Vincent Barangui, says the only way to bleed less in wartime is to sweat more in peacetime. It's why constant training and retraining is necessary for the officers.
All these are skills a soldier will require, whether you are deployed to the northeast region of Nigeria, northwest, Niger Delta, and the Gambia.
To ensure a fair competition, a team of impartial umpires have been selected and properly briefed to adhere to the rules and regulations circulated to all formations and units in the administrative instructions. In Calabar, Achibombasi, NTA News.
In anticipation of Kogi State governorship election, the state government has reiterated commitment to peaceful polls, vows not to surrender authority to criminals, and warns mischief makers to desist or face the consequences of the law. The Information and Communication Officer Femi Afenwo said this regarding situation of security in the state. Let's get more on this from Solomon Aide.
The press briefing aimed at managing security ahead of the Kogi State governorship election came in response to recent events in the state. During the media briefing, Kingsley Femi Fanwo, the Commissioner for Information and Communication in Kogi State, expressed the government's concern regarding insinuations made by some individuals describing the security agency's operation that neutralized Kabiru Bala, also known as Oko, a notorious criminal and terrorist in the eastern flank of the state, as an extrajudicial killing. While acknowledging the fundamental right to life for every citizen, the commissioner emphasized that this right has limitations.
Kabiru Bala, who attempts to evade lawful arrest and who attempts to kill security agents, can no longer hold on to such rights. His killing couldn't be termed extrajudicial by any standard.
He insisted that the Kogi State government will not succumb to criminals.
We can't come this far taming terrorists for the past 90 months, only to lose it to the garrulous crime sponsors defending a criminal. We call on security agencies to call the actors inciting violence in the state for thorough investigation. They must be held to account for their claims.
Mr. Fanwo declared that the state government will do everything within the bounds of the law to ensure a peaceful poll in November. Meanwhile, the Kogi State government has condemned the invasion and vandalism of the Social Democratic Party SDP Secretariat in Lokoja, the state capital, by hoodlums. They have called on security agents to thoroughly investigate the matter in Lokoja. Solomon Ayedehi, NTA News.
The Association of Nigerian Home Operators in Nigeria is advocating policies and legislations to improve the welfare of orphans. Addressing a news conference at the association's maiden national conference in Abuja, the president, who highlighted a series of events for the conference, unequivocally remarked that members must ensure they change the narratives of false publications which have dented the image of the association, and pledged to ensure a proper data analysis, with a plea to the members to sustain the spirit of selfless service they have rendered to the less privileged.
Perceptions about our work. We want to let the public know that we are here, and we want to work with government. We need good results. We need to be involved in policy making, because the evaluation, serious evaluation, because they are not carried along. We are not involved in policy making, and I wish that the federal government, the Senate, will give us a recognition and put us on board in formulating policy.
The association also called assistance for various partners.
Women Affairs has a lot of things to do for the vulnerables. They try to make policies that will always protect them, safeguard them, and that's a standard way of protecting the children in the society.
And in sport, Eimba Football Club crashed out from Niger Super 8 after loss to Katsina United. And in tennis, Novak Djokovic wins to advance into Wimbledon 2023 semi-finals. Details of these and more on Sport Depth.
Eimba have been eliminated from Niger Super 8 tournament after going down to a 2-1 defeat against Katsina United at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena on Akan, Lagos on Tuesday night. The People's Elephant failed to record a win in 3 games in the competition. George Finidi's side finished bottom of Group A with 1 point from 3 games. Ibrahim Yahaya opened scoring for Katsina in the 54th minute. The Jaji boys doubled their advantage from the spot through Nafiz Yahaya 2 minutes later. Fatih Abdullahi pulled the goal back for Eimba a minute from time. Katsina United are now level on 4 points with Sporting Lagos and Rema Stars. Usman Abdallah's side need just a point from their next game against Sporting Lagos to seal a place in the semi-finals. And in Djokovic 36 will play Italy's Jannik Sinner in the last 4 on Friday. Sinner 21 reached his first Grand Slam semi-final by beating Russian Roman Sofilian 6-4, 3-6, 6-2, 6-2.
That was Sports Update with Butwa Milada, and that concludes the news at this time. Many thanks for watching. Do join the NTA in its campaign against rape and rapists. I am Comfort Amodu. Many thanks.